Another fabulous outfit. Russian boots of mauve velvet lined with ermine, a dress of the same stuff gathered by narrow bands of fur, a short jacket matching the rest, tight-fitting and also lined with ermine. She wears a tall ermine toque in the style of Catherine the Great, with a plume fastened by a diamond clip, and her red hair lies loose over her back. Thus she climbs onto the driver's seat, and I take my place behind her. How she whips the horses! The team flies at breakneck speed. Today she seems to want to attract attention at all costs, and fully succeeds. She is the lioness of the Cascine. People greet her from their carriages. They gather in groups to discuss her, but she ignores them all, and merely acknowledges the greetings of the older gentleman with a nod. Suddenly, a young man appears on a prancing black horse. As soon as he sees Wanda, he slows his mount to a walk and stops to let her go by. Their eyes meet. The lioness beholds the lion. As she passes before him, she is so drawn by the magnetic power of his eyes that she turns to look after him. My heart stands still at the look of amazement and rapture that she casts over him like a net. He deserves it, however. What a beautiful man, by God! I have never seen his like in the flesh, only his marble replica in the Belvedere. He has the same slender, steely musculature, the delicate features, the wavy locks, and the feature that makes him so distinctive. He has no beard. If his hips were less slender, he could be taken for a woman in disguise. But the strange expression of the mouth, the leonine muzzle, and the bared teeth lend a fleeting cruelty to his magnificent face. Apollo flaying Marsyas! He wears high black boots, closely fitting breeches of white leather, and a black linen jacket in the style of Italian cavalry officers, trimmed with astrakhan and rich braid. On his dark curls, a red fez. I cannot remain indifferent to his erotic power, and my heart is filled with admiration for Socrates, who had the strength to resist the seductive Alcibiades. I have never before seen my lioness so excited. Her cheeks burned as she jumped down from the carriage and hurried up the villa steps, ordering me to follow her. Pacing up and down her room, she said with disturbing eagerness, "You must find out immediately about the man we saw in the Cascine. Oh, what a man! Did you see him? What do you think of him? Speak!" "The man is handsome," I replied in a dull voice. "He is so handsome." She paused and steadied herself on the back of the chair, that he quite took my breath away. "I can understand the impression he made on you," I answered. I, too, was swept off my feet. In fact, I formed the wild fantasy that this man was my lover and that he whipped you, to your great delight," she said, bursting into laughter. "Off with you now, go." Before nightfall, I had the required information. When I returned, Wanda was still wearing her magnificent attire, but she was lying on the ottoman, her face buried in her hands, her hair disheveled like a lion's mane. "What is his name?" she asked in a strangely calm voice. "Alexis Papadopoulos." "A Greek?" I nodded. "Is he very young?" "Scarcely older than you. They say he was educated in Paris and that he is an atheist. He fought the Turks at Candia and is said to have distinguished himself no less by his race hatred and cruelty than by his bravery." "A man, in fact," she exclaimed, her eyes gleaming. "He is living in Florence at present," I went on. "They say he is fabulously rich." "I did not ask you about that," she interrupted. "This man is dangerous. Are you not afraid of him? I am. Has he a wife?" "No." "A mistress?" "Neither." "What theater does he frequent?" "Tonight he will be going to the Niccolini Theater, where the talented Virginia Marini is appearing with Salvini, the greatest living actor in Italy and perhaps in Europe." "Do what you can to get a box, quickly," she ordered. "But, mistress, do you want a taste of the whip?" "You can wait in the stalls," she says, when I have laid the opera glasses and the program before her and arranged her footstool comfortably. I support myself against the wall, hardly able to stand. My jealousy and anger are so great. No, anger is not the right word. It is mortal anguish. I can see her in her blue moire dress, her ermine cloak laid over her bare shoulders. Their boxes are face to face. I can see them devouring each other with their eyes. What do they care for Goldini's Pamela, Salvini, Lamorini, the audience? For them, the world has disappeared. As for me, what am I at this moment? Today she is attending the Greek ambassador's ball. Does she know whom she will meet there? At any rate, she is dressed for the occasion. A heavy silk dress molds her heavenly figure and reveals her arms and breasts. Her hair, which is tied in a large fiery knot, is adorned with a water lily and a spray of green rushes that sweeps down onto the nape of her neck. She no longer shows any trace of excitement. The fever and agitation have vanished, and she is calm, so calm that my blood freezes, and I feel my heart grow cold under her gaze. With slow stateliness, she climbs the marble stairs, slips off her precious coat, and carelessly drifts into the room, filled with the silvery smoke of 1,000 candles. For a moment, I follow her with my eyes, dumbfounded, and then I notice that I am holding her furs in my hands, still warm from the heat of her body. I deposit a kiss on them, and my eyes fill with tears. Here he is, in his black velvet jacket sumptuously lined with dark fur. He is a proud, handsome despot who plays with the lives and souls of men. He stands in the doorway, looking about him proudly. He catches sight of me and gives me a piercing stare. Under his icy gaze, I am again seized with a deadly terror, a premonition that this man will capture and enslave her, that he has the power to subjugate her entirely. Confronted with such fierce virility, I feel ashamed and envious. I am no more than a feeble, confused being. My weakest point is that I want to hate him, but cannot. Why did he notice me among the army of servants? With an aristocratic gesture, he signals to me to come to him. "Help me off with my coat," he orders calmly. My whole body trembles with rebellion, but I obey humbly, like a slave. I wait all night long in the antechamber, in a state of feverish delirium. Strange visions pass before my eyes. I see their meeting, their first lingering exchange of glances. I see her twirling through the ballroom in his arms, giddy, resting with half-closed eyes against his breast. I see him in all the sanctity of love, not as a slave but as a lord, lying on the ottoman with her at his feet. I see myself kneeling before him, waiting on him, the tea tray trembling in my hands. I see him reach for the whip. The footmen are talking about him now. Like a woman, he knows he is beautiful and behaves accordingly. Always elegant, he changes his costume 4 or even 5 times a day like a courtesan. He has been seen in Paris dressed as a woman, and men showered him with love letters. An Italian singer famous for his talent and for his passionate temperament forced his way into his house and threatened to kill himself if our hero did not yield to him. "I regret," the Greek replied with a smile. "I should have granted you my favors with pleasure, but alas, I can only sign your death warrant, for I am a man." The ballroom is nearly empty, but she has apparently no thought of leaving. Dawn is already peeping through the blinds. Finally, I hear the rustle of the heavy dress that flows behind her like a green wave. She is drawing slowly near, chatting to him. I hardly exist for her. She does not even bother to give me orders. "Madame's coat," he commands. Naturally, he does not think of assisting her himself. While I help her with her furs, he stands by with folded arms. As I kneel to put on her fur boots, she leans lightly on his shoulder and asks, "How does the story go about the lioness?" "When the lion she has chosen to live with is attacked by another," says the Greek, "the lioness lies down and watches the fight. If her companion is losing, she does not come to his rescue, but looks on indifferently while he is mauled to death by his opponent. Then she follows the victor, the stronger. That is woman's nature." At that point, my lioness gives me a strange look that makes me shudder, and the red light of dawn bathes all 3 of us in blood. She did not go to bed, but took off her ball dress and untied her hair. Then she ordered me to light a fire, and she sat by the hearth staring into the flames. "Do you still need me, mistress?" I asked in a faltering voice. Wanda shook her head. I left the room, walked through the gallery, and sat down on the steps that led to the garden. A gentle north wind blew a cool dampness from the Arno. The green hills lay under a rosy mist, and golden vapors shrouded the town and billowed over the dome of the cathedral. A few stars glimmered in the pale sky. I tore off my coat and pressed my burning forehead against the marble. Everything that had happened so far seemed like a child's game. Now things were serious, horribly serious. I felt the approach of a catastrophe. I could see it before me and almost touch it with my hand, but I did not have the courage to go toward it and meet it. I was a broken man. To be honest, it was not the suffering or the thought of being maltreated that frightened me. I was possessed by one fear only, that of losing the one I loved so passionately, and the fear was so violent and harrowing that I began to sob like a child. She remained in her room all day, waited on by the negress. When the evening star rose in the sky, I caught sight of her crossing the garden and followed her stealthily. I saw her enter the temple of Venus. I crept up behind her and watched through a crack in the door. She stood before the majestic statue, her hands joined in prayer, and the light of the star of love cast a blue ray upon her. That night on my couch, I was seized with the terror of losing her, and was so overwhelmed by feelings of doubt that I decided to play the part of a libertine hero. I lit the red oil lamp that hung in the passage under a pious image, and crept into her bedroom, shielding the light with my hand. The vanquished lioness was the picture of exhaustion. She lay asleep on her back, sprawled over the cushions, her fists clenched, her breathing heavy. She seemed in the midst of an alarming dream. I slowly took my hand away from the light and let it fall on her magnificent face, but she did not awake. I gently placed the lamp on the floor and fell on my knees by Wanda's bed, resting my hand on her warm, soft arm. She stirred but did not wake. I do not know how long I stayed in this prostrate position, in the dead of night, gripped by dreadful torment. At last, a fit of violent trembling came over me, and I was able to weep. I flooded her arm with my tears. She started several times, then finally awoke, rubbed her eyes, and looked at me. "Severin!" she cried, more frightened than angry. I could not reply. "Severin," she said again gently, "what is wrong? Are you sick?" Her voice was so compassionate, so kind and tender, that it was like a red-hot iron piercing my breast, and I began to sob aloud. "Severin, my poor friend, my unhappy friend," she gently stroked my hair. "I am very sorry for you, but I cannot help you. With the best will in the world, I can think of no remedy for you." "Oh, Wanda, must it be so?" I moaned in my grief. "What, Severin? What do you mean? Do you no longer love me at all? Have you not a little pity left for me, or has the handsome stranger taken it all from you?" "I cannot lie," she answered gently after a moment's silence. "He has made an impression on me that I cannot yet understand. I live in pain and fear. I have seen this feeling described in poetry and on the stage, but I had taken it for a figment of the imagination. Oh, he is a lion of a man, strong, handsome, proud, yet sensitive, not coarse like the men of our northern countries. I pity you, believe me, Severin, but I must possess him. What am I saying? I must give myself to him, if he will have me." "Think of your honor, Wanda. You have kept it unsullied till now," I exclaimed, "even if I no longer mean anything to you." "I am considering it," she replied. "I want to be strong for as long as I can, but I want—" She hid her face shyly in the cushions. "I want to be his wife, if he will have me." "Wanda," I gasped, seized by the fatal anguish that made me lose all control. "You want to be his wife. You want to belong to him forever. Oh, do not send me away from you. He does not love you." "Who told you that?" she cried. "He does not love you," I went on passionately, "but I do. I love you. I adore you. I am your slave. I want you to tread me underfoot. I want to carry you in my arms all my life." "Who told you that he does not love me?" she asked again, interrupting me violently. "Oh, be mine," I pleaded. "I cannot live. I cannot exist without you. Have pity, Wanda, have pity." She gazed at me with her cold, insensitive look and smiled wickedly. "You say he does not love me," she said. "Very well then, let that idea comfort you." And she turned her back on me with a disdainful air. "Good God," I sobbed. "Are you not a woman of flesh and blood? Have you not a heart like mine?" "You know what I am," she answered harshly. "I am a woman of stone, Venus in furs, your ideal. Kneel down and worship me." "Wanda," I pleaded, "have mercy." She laughed. I buried my face in the cushions and let the tears flow to relieve my pain. For a long while all was silent. Then Wanda slowly rose. "You bore me," she said. "Wanda, I am weary. Let me sleep." "Have pity on me," I pleaded. "Do not reject me. No man can love you as I do." "Let me sleep." She turned her back on me again. I leapt to my feet and seized the dagger that hung next to her bed. I drew it from its scabbard and pointed it at my breast. "I shall kill myself before your eyes," I sobbed. "Do as you please," replied Wanda with perfect indifference, "but let me sleep." She yawned loudly. "I am tired." For a moment I was stunned. Then I began to laugh and cry at the same time. Finally I stuck the dagger in my belt and again fell on my knees before her. "Wanda, listen to me one moment," I pleaded. "I want to sleep, do you hear?" she cried, leaping angrily out of bed and giving me a kick. "Are you forgetting that I am your mistress?" As I did not move an inch, she seized the whip and dealt me a blow. I rose. She struck me again, this time full in the face. "Animal! Slave!" With my clenched fist raised to the sky, I resolutely left the room. She flung down the whip and burst into a loud peal of laughter. I imagine my theatrical attitude must have seemed the height of comedy.